Hey, you are watching the Wantrepreneur Journey, the site that's dedicated to inspiring you to step out and to live your dreams, to really break free and build a business around doing what you absolutely love. And this week we are at the Gold Coast, the the Gold Coast, yes, Surfers Paradise, the world famous Golden Beach, and I get to be here with Mr. Shayne Locke. I'm not going to go through everything that he's done. If you're interested in reading a good book, just put that aside and go on LinkedIn and check out his profile, because it is just phenomenal what he's been engaged in. A jack of all trades in every sense, and I'm really just thankful that he's got me here in his home and willing to share the wisdom and just inspire you to really follow that inner passion that's driving you. So I'm going to stop talking and just throw it straight over to Shayne. Shayne, if you could tell our viewers just a little bit about you and your most recent engagements. I know Shayne is the founder of Sage Magazine, which is really just dedicated to inspiring a holistic approach to living, and also Soul Traveler Radio, which is his most recent venture, a radio show. But he's going to tell us a little bit more about that and just about himself personally also.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Ty. Thanks for having me on your show. And I've had a good look through some of the things that you do, and you've got an interesting history yourself. So, but look, Sage Magazine. We started. We're in our third issue now, and Sage Magazine is all about providing wisdom for the soul traveller. Mm-hmm. So we started with Sage, and we started with the whole soul traveller process, and we've got a fairly active readership now. So our last issue went out to about 50,000 people, and we have a fairly active Facebook page. It's still growing in numbers, hasn't quite reached the 2,000 people yet, but we're getting there. It grows every day. And Tanya, my partner, who's the co-founder of Sage Magazine, she writes a post on Facebook every day, and I think that's part of the key to the success so far of Sage Magazine, and that is the engagement with people. People don't want to just be on a Facebook page, and but if we notice that rather than it just appearing on someone's news feed and they just flick through it, there's a lot of people that are actually liking it or sharing it, or the topics are so varied that there's always a relevance to someone in the topic. So, for example, Tanya did a post on the Year of the Horse, coming the Chinese New Year of the Horse. Well, that was shared 100 times. It was just I think because it had such a relevance, especially going into this new year, because last year for a lot of people was a really tough year. Sure. And so people are looking at 2014 going, I want to do something different. We certainly did that too. We went through the whole process of, we've got this magazine now that's going out to a very big community. What else can we do to help inspire that community and motivate that community? Yeah. So we decided that we would start Soul Traveler Radio. Just woke up one day and said, let's start a radio station. We've got a magazine, so we may as well do a radio station. And we've received fantastic support from artists so far, and I've learned a lot about the different music styles and the different types of music there are out there within the holistic spiritual community. And we're now at the point of test transmission. We've got our test transmission going, and we're getting people that are listening to it and sending their messages back saying, yeah, that's great, we want to hear more of this, we want to do that. And we wanted to do a few things different with it, like of a morning have a meditation hour, where we're putting a meditation piece on. It might be a guided meditation, it might just be a bit of music, that people can listen to. on the top of every hour, we put a positive affirmation instead of the news.
Wow.
You know?
That is so encouraging and so exciting just to hear you share that, and especially tying that in with that Year of the Horse and 2014 being really just open to so many potential possibilities. And it seems like the magazine and the radio show, while you featured that article about stepping out, is very much your own personal journey also, isn't it?
Yeah. That's why we've actually... our tagline, I suppose you could say, for the radio station is "You can be the change," and that's really been a big motivating force, you know, in who I am as a person.
Okay.
And it's funny, I just used "I am," and that actually is a phrase that a lot of people don't grab hold of enough.
Okay.
You know. God said, "I'm the great I am." Now, if we're made in God's image,
yes,
then we are also I am. But we don't hold on to that. We don't use that. What are you? You know, are you just someone that's traveling around this planet and just doing an office job, or are you someone that can actually find what they want to do with passion, with vigor, and be that person?
Wow.
You know, be I am, and that's been the key to my growth especially in the last 5 years.
Wow.
You know,
I definitely want to get you to unpack that, because that speaks specifically really to our audience. It's those that are really feeling stuck and knowing deep down inside that they were created for more, that there is something amazing within themselves that they're capable of doing. So if you can just unpack that, be the change. Where do you think most people are getting stuck? A
lot of people, well, I think they get stuck in life, actually. You know, you leave school, you get a job, or you study for 7 years and then you get a job. You know, you end up with this incredible debt if you've studied. You get married, you have a couple of kids, and next minute you know you're 40, and your life has just gone past.
Yeah.
And you're like, what have I actually done? You know, I'm not discounting the fact that you may have had 2 beautiful kids and you've got a fantastic family, but if you really want to make a difference in this world, and some people don't. Some people are just happy to be, and that's fine. Yeah, sure. That's perfectly fine. But if you're not satisfied and you want to make a difference, what can you do? Yeah. My journey, I mean, my journey started obviously when I was younger. You know, I grew up in a church environment, much like yourself, that I found was great for some people. And you know what? It's if you find yourself in a belief structure or religion that suits you, fantastic. All right, just be everything that you want to be. For me, I was looking for something more. There was something else out there. Okay. And I reached a point where I just couldn't be within that environment anymore for one reason or another, and that sort of started me on a journey of self-discovery and looking. I look back at the work that I've done over my time, and you know, as you said, I'm a jack of all trades. I've done a lot of different jobs, but they've all actually been vital, actually, to bring me to this point where I am today. Okay, yeah. You know,
that's actually a theme that has come up before with other folks that I've talked to, not to discount where you are at this very moment. I think one thing that I've always tried to be careful with speaking to is, like you said, those that do have the children and maybe are an accountant. Hey, if you wake up and that's absolutely what you're passionate about, then that's great for you. But really, that huge audience that is out there that knows that they're capable of more, and I love you sharing that. But unpack that a little bit more, how all of those different steps in your journey have led you to where you are now, and how can the viewers use some of the situations that they feel perhaps are a trial or something frustrating, but to direct them to where they need to be?
Yeah, well, I guess the only way I can really explain that is, well, firstly, majority of the jobs that I've done, I've loved. There's been a couple where you go, oh, what was I thinking doing that job,
Yeah.
But in saying that, I mean, it's also led you down paths that you look back and go, well, okay, I was being led to that for a reason. All right, it's not.
Okay.
Things might seem random at the time, but they're not.
Yeah.
It's all a process that you go through within yourself, and you allow yourself to be in that process. And that's an important thing. For me, the change came. I went through I was a fairly successful property development person.
Okay.
My father and I had a business in finance. I was enjoying it, enjoying life on the Gold Coast. The GFC hit, which obviously had an impact on a lot of people. At the same time, my father just got cancer, and within 6 months he was, in hospital on his deathbed. It shocked me. It rocked my world. It really rocked it. And at the same time, everything else started crumbling down. I was questioning my marriage. I was questioning my just everything that I did.
Yeah.
Overnight, pretty much. When I say overnight, it was an 18-month process, but it was like overnight.
Okay.
I lost everything. I don't think you can actually. I've read a lot of stories about people who have become successful, and not just become successful doing what they love, but become successful within their own life and spiritual journey as well. And most of the people and most of the stories that I've read have gone through the same process that I went through, and I can only describe it as a dark time of the soul, where you're being stripped away. You're having everything stripped away from you, and the universe is just going, okay, you don't need that. That's gone. Let's take that away. And I look back now and go, it was that complete removal of those things and detachment from those things. Marriage, my wealth, everything just pulled away completely. In fact, it got right down to the point where I couldn't function as in business, where I was working in what seemed like a factory type environment, pushing a button. And it was that turning point where I had reached that bottom level, and I said to myself, like, if I can push this button another day, then I can also have belief in myself and know that I can actually step up the next level and the next level.
Wow.
So reaching that bottom point, I then started to build myself up again and doing the things that I wanted to do, doing the things that I loved. Met a beautiful lady who, Tanya, who is, was going on her own spiritual path as well. And through that, we got an understanding of what we wanted to do together and what we wanted to do separately.
Yeah, sure.
We then decided that by this time I'd taught myself digital marketing. I'd come from a marketing background, but it was old school marketing, working in radio, working in cinemas, understanding this marketing process. I had to relearn it all. Had to teach myself again. Taught myself how to do websites. Taught myself how to do digital video. taught myself how to do digital magazines, Photoshop, InDesign.
Yeah.
I went through a massive learning curve and built up liquid digital marketing to the point where when you search for digital marketing, it comes up on the front page of Google. That was a big step for me to get to that point.
Wow.
And I looked back and went, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Can you unpack that a little bit more? And just thank you so much for being transparent and sharing some of those struggles with you. I know there are a lot of people that are in that very position that you went through, but just to encourage that, I think you said, if you're able to push that button, you're able to get up the next day and really make a difference and pursue what you want to be doing. But connect the dots between where Sage is now, where the radio station is now. And I know you shared briefly that you taught yourself everything, but how did you connect uncovering the passion with the practical steps of getting to where you are?
So I guess this comes back full circle then to growing up in the church and going, this is great, but there's more to it. What about the people in India who are Hindu, or the people in Nepal, the Buddhists, and what about the Islamic community? What about what they believe? Surely they can't all be wrong. And you know what? When I looked at it, and I went through a lot of different spiritual understandings and a lot of different religions. And it all come back to one common thread, and that was that kindness and universal energy. Universal energy meaning that you and I are sitting here having a conversation right now, and you're going to go away from this conversation, and hopefully you're going to feel fantastic about what we've just talked about, and you're going to take little bits of that and impart that into your life. So that's what I mean about universal energy, is that transference of energy. And kindness, I think if we can look at our belief structure and go, whatever we believe, make kindness the very first and foremost thing. So they're the two things that impacted me most in my life. I know they might seem random or unrelated.
Would you say that everyone needs to get to the point of understanding that, and then that kind of being the fuel for whatever it is manifest in terms of practical business? Energy is I look at energy as a transference of love. Okay, so the two things are love and kindness. If we can attain those two practices in our life, it doesn't matter if you're a Buddhist or a Hindu or a Christian. At the end of the day, what is God? God is love. And God wants us to embrace everybody, and it's that understanding that we got to. So we when we decided to start Sage Magazine, it wasn't coming from a point of, well, this is actually a Buddhist magazine, or this is a Hindu magazine. So if you're Christian, I'm sorry, you can't read it, or you can't put an article in it. What we actually wanted to do was impart wisdom on soul travelers, because we're all on our own journey. My journey is different to your journey, and if we can understand each other's journeys, and we can help one another on each other's journeys, then that's going to open up so many different possibilities for us. And so that was our aim behind Sage Magazine, was to really be a light to people. I was challenged. I'll be honest. I was challenged because a good friend of mine contacted me and said, "I hear you're doing Sage Magazine. I'm a Druid. Okay.
I want to write an article." And the initial thought inside me was, "Oh, what are we going to do with a Druid article?" and it challenged me. It challenged me. And we said yes. He sent the article through about connecting with our animal spirit guide, and it was one of the best articles I've ever read. His next article, which we've just finished typesetting into the next issue of Sage, is about is modern druidry or druidry for the modern age. Now, in reading that article, we're all druids.
Yeah.
Every one of us.
Yeah.
If we care for the planet, if we want to protect the planet, if we want to connect with nature, if we want to connect with the environment, guess what? You're a druid.
Yeah.
So it really, I want the magazine to be able to challenge people in their areas of spirituality, of life, of relationships, of connectivity with one another.
Yeah.
That's our focus.
They're all qualities that are really, there are no boundaries in terms of who that relates to. That's what I love about the things that you just listed, that it doesn't matter which field that you're thinking of engaging in, those qualities you just said relate to them. And so could you give a few practical steps on this idea of being change and building off some of those universal things that you mentioned? What are some very universal, skills or practical tips you can give for someone to get unstuck and be a change?
Okay, so the first one, which I'm absolutely hopeless at, I'm going to be honest, is meditation.
Okay.
And I'm the first one to say, I don't meditate enough. Tanya meditates. She holds meditation classes, but meditation actually is a big key. And it's not actually. Let's break down meditation. All right. What is meditation? Meditation is a form of prayer, right? So prayer is actually active meditation, right? Is actively thinking about and verbalizing it, and to in whatever form, whether it be to God or to Muhammad or to whatever, or Krishna or whatever. It's prayer is taking that and verbalizing that meditation that you've done. So for meditation, there's an interesting article we're writing for the next issue, and we had a discussion with a singer over in the States by the name of Steve Gold, who loves surfing, and to him, surfing is meditation. So being on a surfboard in the middle of the ocean, where you're completely off the grid, you've got no phones, nothing, right? It's you, the surfboard, and this big expanse of ocean. What are you thinking about being on that surfboard? You're thinking about connecting with that ocean. And once you've connected with the ocean, and you've connected with the flow of the ocean, and you're in that flow, that's meditation. It's stilling yourself, stilling your mind, not thinking about what's happening in the daily life. So that's the first step.
I love that, actually, because my meditation is going for runs in the morning. I do so much meditation in that, and I think that really does make it much easier. I know there's probably an ideal situation, an ideal state that you'd like to be meditating in, but it's not completely isolated to doing just that. And I hope that encourages a lot of people to think that you don't need to go onto a mountaintop to meditate.
Yeah, you don't need to, reach nirvana. You don't need to sit there and sit there until you reach that point. It's about it's about stilling your mind and quietening your mind. I mean, we listen to, we're bombarded every day by the TV, radio, press, signs, billboards, the lot. I mean, how do we get past all of that, all that mind chatter, and meditating and just, even if it's just, when you're waking up in the morning, just stopping and thinking about the fact that you've actually woken up.
Wow, that's huge. That's big.
Yeah,
that's really deep. So first thing in being a change, meditation. What else?
The second thing is whatever you believe it. Okay. Embrace it. You know, don't be afraid of change for a start, but don't be afraid of being who you are.
Okay.
You know, if you can put, this was probably a really hard part for me personally, because I had that psyche of the church in the background, going, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't, that's not right, you know. Breaking free of that mold and believing what you believe is important, but then believing with all your heart. You know, we went and not met with the Dalai Lama, we would love to have, but we saw the Dalai Lama in Sydney, and one of the things that he said was it was about embracing all religions.
Okay.
And he said, I'm not here to tell you to be a Buddhist. I'm here to tell you to believe.
Okay.
And if you believe with all your heart. And you know, I've probably embraced his philosophy more than anything, and that is, you know, my religion is simple. My religion is kindness. That's it.
Yeah.
If we can get past the religion that creates wars,
Okay.
and get down to the religion of our heart, then we'll see a change.
Yeah. I think that was really insightful what you mentioned with those voices, and some of the viewers may have probably heard of this idea of the imposter syndrome, that every time you feel like stepping out to do something different, that fear of change comes from these different voices that are really not necessarily true, right? Can you share a little bit about how you overcame some voices and just doubts, or what were some things that held you back from stepping out?
Well, you know, when you're between the ages of 12 and 18, it's a very impressionable ages, you know.
Okay.
And I remember vividly getting hauled up in front of the church and told by a pastor that was visiting that I was going to become a healer and an evangelist, and that I was never to drink or smoke for my life, you know. And at 15, man, that is just a real heavy thing to have put on you. And you know, you struggle. And my best friend went on to become a pastor, and you know, he works with Aboriginal communities, and his whole belief structure and everything that he does is so. I mean, it's a beautiful. Looking at it, it's such a beautiful thing to see, because he's not caught up in the whole, you know, extravagance of you know, I was going to say a particular religion, but you know what I mean. Like, you know what I mean. It's like getting up on stage and hoo-ha and all that stuff. Sure. He's actually he's ministering in RSL clubs, that, you know, having an area where Aboriginal families are coming in, and he's feeding them. That to me is true. That's true religion. Yeah. So for me to go through those years and then break away from that, it still had a massive impact on my thinking. Yeah. And the only way that I really could overcome that was by stripping it right back down. And I started going through and searching for other things, but you know, it's like peeling back that onion. You know, you can keep searching, and what's at the core of an onion? Yeah. You know, nothing.
That's a really good illustration.
Yeah.
I really like it. And I just want to touch on again what you had mentioned. You know, it really doesn't matter where those voices are coming from. We're not specifically trying to paint bad pictures of any specific organizations, but if that voice is going against what you know God has called you to do, or what that specific purpose, that burning desires, then you've got to strip away, right? Yeah,
you do. And you know, I had someone say to me, oh, you know, because it was that whole onion and analogy, and they said, yeah, but you know, you strip back the onion and there's nothing there. You know, what are you going to do when you get to that point?
Yeah, unpack that.
Well, you know what? I got to that point and there was nothing there. And you know what it helped me to do was actually to get rid of all of those voices and go, right, now I'm back to nothingness, right? I can actually allow spirit to go, right, this is where you're going to go now. This is what you're going to do. Let's have a look at what your actual purpose is for life. And, you talk about doing what you love. If you can do what you love and do what your purpose is in life, then you're going to be in that flow.
Yeah.
And you're going to work.
Connecting those two, doing what you love and your purpose.
Your love and your purpose.
Yeah.
Look, I was in radio for many years, and I loved working in radio. Yeah. Was that my purpose? No.
Huh.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Did it last? No. I was gone. That's where when people really find what their true ministry is, right, and what their true purpose is. Yeah. That's when they'll be in that place where everything flows, and you just know that you're in the right place. Yeah. And that comes back down to the I am.
Okay.
And that is that a lot of people think that they're what's wrong with the world. And there's a great documentary. If you get a chance, watch the documentary by the director of it was the guy that directed Ace Ventura and Bruce Almighty. Yeah. He went on a journey to try and find what was wrong with the world, and because he had people saying, "I am what's wrong with the world," and at the end of his journey, he realised that I am what's right with the world. So he sold everything, sold his mansion, lives in a motorhome now. He sold it. He gave it to charity. Wow. Because he wanted to be the change. Okay. He said, "I've got all of this wealth. What can I do with it? I'm going to be the change." So when we started with the idea of the radio station, it was like, well, we want to be in a place where we're not. We want to have a station that is not playing the daily music that you hear. It's not going through this whole usual stuff that you hear on the radio station. It's actually providing music with a difference, providing something with a change in who we are. Yeah. So the music that we've got now is is all geared towards that positive beats and positive great music with a message. Yeah. And being the change, showing people that they can be the change in this world. Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to touch on that one really profound statement you made about connecting what you love and your purpose. How does someone do that? How does someone not let what they love or like doing necessarily pull them away from that purpose, that I am that you had mentioned?
Yeah. Because that was probably a big thing that drove me away from the whole, being an evangelist or a healer, because it's like, oh man, I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. The responsibility of that might be my purpose. Yeah. But it's like, so I think it's finding the purpose, knowing what your purpose is, and going, how am I going to achieve that purpose? And by doing what I love. Mm-hmm. So the magazine, the radio station, they're all things that I love doing. Yeah. And to me, it's that connection of that love and that purpose. Okay. And finding that connection is it's not easy.
Would you say, perhaps it sounds like you're connecting purpose towards something that sort of extends beyond yourself, perhaps, that it actually reaches and connects with others? Because it sounds like something you love doing can be a very personal, introspective thing, but your purpose sounds like it's really affecting change beyond yourself. Would that be correct at all?
Yeah, when my father passed away, I had a really profound moment where I was at his funeral, and there was 200 people that were there, and every single person that got up said how he impacted their lives. Okay. And right at that moment, I had this vision of my funeral and not many people there, and them sort of thinking, well, okay, right, that's great. He made me laugh. Well, that's good. And I thought to myself, I don't want to be that person. I want to be the person that actually makes a change in their life. Now, you talk about purpose and finding the point of doing what they love. In our first issue of Sage, we interviewed a lady by the name of Ayesha. She is a Buddhist nun that lives in Nagpur. Now, she trained to become a Buddhist nun. After her training, she's from Australia. After her training, she wanted to live in Dharamsala, and they said, you've got to be a Tibetan to live and work in the monasteries. All right. Oh, and you've got to be male. All right, just another little thing. She came back to Australia, and it's like, well, if the chances of continuing on as a Buddhist nun in Australia are very, very slim. Okay. She said, what am I going to do? So she found a need in Nagpur. She put herself right into the cauldron, into the hot spot in Nagpur, living in the slums. And she actually lives with everyone in the slums and helps them. And she runs the Bodhisattva Foundation, and her whole life is, looking after the kids that are coming from homes that have got parents that are poor or alcoholics, or or the kids are getting beaten by teachers. From her perspective, if she can make one change physically with a kid and give them the right education, then her job is not done. It's only partly done, but it's on the right path. So it's finding that balance of what your soul purpose is, And when I say soul, I mean soul, our soul. What is our soul yearning to do in life? That's the first thing, and then finding a way, either finding a way of enjoying it or mixing it with a type of process that you really enjoy. Would I enjoy getting up and speaking in front of people? Probably. Would I want the pressure of that? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Would I enjoy speaking on the radio? Will I enjoy writing and putting articles in the magazine? Absolutely, I love it.
Yeah.
So that's that connection. That's finding that connection.
Yeah, and it is a tricky one. I hope that was helpful for everyone watching. I think that was really profound to uncover those two areas, what you love and really connecting it with your purpose. And it sounds like from everything we've talked about that your love can be something that you're passionate about, but your purpose is where the change truly happens beyond the walls of yourself and affecting the lives of other people.
Yeah.
That's really,
and I think that's really, if anything, to me, can we just talk about success for a minute, right?
Sure.
Because there's a lot of entrepreneurs that it's all about, the success, and a lot of people think, you're successful because you're rich, right?
Yeah.
That's not what success is all about.
Yeah.
Success, there's riches.
Yeah.
But it's not physical riches. It's the riches in knowing that you've actually made an impact on somebody else's life.
Yeah.
And I don't care if if I lived in the slums in Nagpur. The fact is that I would be impacting someone else's life. And you could throw any amount of money to someone like Ayesha. At the end of the day, it really comes down to actually being there on ground zero, helping those kids.
Sure.
Sure, money will help, but it's providing that love and nurture and actually being there for someone. And true success is being there. Yeah.
I think you just jumped into my mind and picked out one of my. That's actually one of the questions that I end up finishing up with. So
sorry. That's great, Gleb.
I'll get you to restate it toward the end. But I do want to ask you, can you just share perhaps a highlight or a moment where you've really had to pinch yourself and think, is this really happening? I've stepped out into uncharted waters and and I can't believe that this is happening. Can you share one of those experiences?
Well, yeah. I guess issue 2 of Sage. I mean, we're two issues is all we've done so far.
It looks fabulous.
You know.
So we're going to put notes and links to the website. You need to check out this magazine.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
And you know, we've had we actually had an email from someone over in the States who said there's nothing like this over here.
Wow.
You know, when is the next issue out? Because you know, I've read everything there is to read in the 80 pages of the second issue. I can't wait for that next issue. And when that to me is you know, Tanya and I, with what we do and our writers that we've got on board and the amazing photographers that we have that help us out, you know, every one of us are integral to that point where one person sends an email in and says, you know, you've changed my life.
Wow. That's
phenomenal. Makes it all worth it. That's when you pinch yourself and go, yeah, okay, this is real. This is real stuff. You know, and it's funny when you're writing it, you know, sometimes you don't think, sometimes you're just writing it. You're on autopilot. You're writing because you're writing what's coming from your heart. You don't think, you know, okay, I'm writing this because I want people to change their lives. But when that actually happens, that's when you pinch yourself and go, everything that we've done has been worth it, because we might have just, you don't know what people are going through. You don't know whether they're sitting on their sitting there with a razor blade. I hate to be sorry, we've got a street sweeper going past here. You don't know whether they're sitting there, you know, contemplating suicide. And at that particular point, they read an article or they listen to a song that's that's put on Soul Traveller radio. You know, you'll never know that.
Yeah, that would.
You'll never know that.
Yeah, that's beyond a pinch yourself moment to know that kind of a significant impact you've had on someone else's life, and that's huge. What tips would you give for, say, someone in the audience now who's really praying and thinking about stepping out to be a writer or perhaps put together a magazine? What were some of the most difficult steps to navigate through?
You know, looking at it at well, probably one of the most difficult ones was you know, realizing at 11:30 at night that something just wasn't right, and then you realize, oh no, there's a whole article missing. You know, it's just something like that. It's just crazy stuff like that happens, that you sort of you know, go, oh, you know, how could I have nearly missed that? That's always a hard thing, is just putting it all together. But you know what? Just take one step at a time. If someone wants to start a magazine, start off with a blog. Start writing a blog.
Yeah.
Get into social media. Start. You know what? There needs to be more posts like what Tanya does on Facebook, and you know, you can check out our Facebook page. I mean, there's people that wake up every day waiting for her post to go on, and they've said that. That's because great. It helps start their day. Doing little things like that make a difference, and by doing that, you build up a bit of a following and a reputation that can then take you to that next step and that next step and the next step.
That's great. That's really neat.
And the other thing, sorry if I can just say, the other thing is, don't try and do it all by yourself.
Okay.
All right. Open yourself up to the possibility of working with others.
Yeah. And how have you networked and done that personally?
Well, you know, the first 2 issues, you know, graphically, I sort of did most of the graphics, and you know, Tanya did the articles, and I did some articles as well, and now it's you know, I've got someone else putting together the graphics for issue 3. Yeah. One of the guys that works with us, Johnny, and you know, it's just opening yourself up and allowing others into that space and helping you. Yeah. And that's probably been my biggest lesson.
Oh, really?
Because being who I am, you know, I try to do everything myself.
Yeah.
And you know, issue 2, as beautiful as it was, and the words in it were amazing, but it took a toll on me, and I just said, you know what, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah.
There's other things that we've got to do now.
Yeah.
And so part of the process of Soul Traveller Radio has been a bit cathartic and purposeful in taking me away a little bit from Sage magazine, so that I can let others in to help. So that's probably the two biggest things. Yeah.
And that's really neat that you share that. It sounds like a lot of people feel like they need to get all their ducks in a row before they. It sounds like you've just, like you shared earlier, you just soaked things up. You learnt, you stepped out, and you learnt as you're figuring things out as you went.
That's life. We're all doing that.
Yeah.
You know, you've got this show. Where's it going to go? You know, you just decided that you were going to do it one night, and that's the whole process of life. It's just taking one day at a time and going, let's just see where it leads us. You know.
And I know that's going to be so encouraging. Really, from the outside, as I reached out to Shayne, I mean, they look like well-established, just phenomenal projects that Shayne has put together. This Sage magazine looks top class. The radio show, I've checked that out, and really, you think that this guy has just got some sort of a child prodigy, really, but he's figured things out as he's gone. I hope that's encouraging for folks. Look, you don't need to be an expert before you start. I mean, that's a process and a journey that you step out and learn as you go.
You just need to take the step and just believe in yourself, you know. I should say what you've heard on Soul Traveller Radio is just it's only in test transmission at the moment, and it will be launching February 22nd.
Great.
Is when we're launching. Hopefully we'll have enough music loaded up by then.
No.
So, you know, if there's anyone out there that has music that wants to send it in to us and it's positive and, you know, then definitely send it in to us.
Absolutely.
But it's all about just taking one step at a time, and you know, not just in work, but in our own spiritual journey as well, and in life journey.
Sure.
Take one step at a time.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
Well, as we start to wrap up this interview, Shayne, thank you so much just for being transparent, and just your willingness to help has really touched me deeply and inspired me, and I know your story is going to inspire so many people that feel stuck to get unstuck and really figure out that unique, specific calling that they've got on their life. But I do want to close with 3 questions that I ask everyone. You have touched on one, but the first question is, who is the greatest influence on your life?
My father. Yeah, without a doubt. You know, just watching him and, you know, his the fact that you know, he has touched so many people.
Okay.
And just briefly, you know, I was actually present when he passed away, and there was a couple that came along when in the hospital that were there as well, and I wanted to go, you know what are you here for? This is a private moment between, you know, my sister and my mother and my father. And part of me was angry that they were there. You know, after he passed away, they came up to me and they said, we just want to thank you for allowing us to be here, because your father was like our father.
Wow.
You know, with what he taught us. He's my hero.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you share perhaps one lesson that was really profound that has stuck with you?
You know, just being open to help people whenever. You know, he was always there to help people, and he never gave up either. You know, it's interesting. He went through a lot of changes in his life too, but he never gave up.
Yeah.
Even in the face of adversity, he never gave up. So that's
Wow, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
The next question: what do you want to be remembered for in this life?
I want to be remembered by the change that I made in people's lives.
Yeah.
That's what drives me now. You never used to, but that's what drives me now. Is for people to look back. If at the end of this year I was to pass away, you know, and let's face it, I mean, it could happen any time.
Sure.
To anyone. Yeah. I want people to look back and go, you know what, he actually made a difference in my life. That's what I want to achieve. Yeah.
Thanks, Shayne. Last question: what is your definition of success?
My definition of success is doing what you love and doing what your sole purpose is. And if you're doing what you love and doing what you need to be doing, and you're surrounded by love and family and health, then you don't need anything else.
Yeah,
that's it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, for all the viewers out there that perhaps we have, again, those that are wanting to get into magazine or magazine publishing or setting up a radio station, is there a way...
Don't do it, no. Okay.
Is there a way that they can reach out and get in touch with you? I know LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Check out Shayne on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you can contact me either through sagemagazine.net or soultravellerradio.com.
Okay.
Either of those two will get us. Look us up on Facebook. Connect through us. We're always there, always on Facebook.
Yeah, we'll have those links in the show notes, so do drop by the site entrepreneurjourney.com for the show notes. We'll have the links to the magazine, the radio show, and their Facebook page. And so reach out to Shayne. Incredibly encouraging and inspirational story, and I know he's gonna be open to connecting with you also. So don't be afraid. Shoot that email and get connected and be inspired and really to step out. But Shayne, do you have any final words for the viewers before we wrap up?
No, I think just let this year, let 2014 be the year of change. Don't sit back and wait for things to come. Get active, get out there, get doing it. And by you actually taking that step in doing something, then you'll see the change start to happen in your life. Yeah.
Beautiful. Shayne,
Thanks
you
for
so
having
much
me.
for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Tom.